5058/W23/21. 1. Choose any two of the following hadiths. A. Describe their teaching about what Muslims believe. 4. B. Explain how Muslims can put these teachings into action. 4. 1. The world is the believer's prison and the unbeliever's paradise. 2. A man asked the Messenger of Allah, may Allah bless him and give him peace, do you think that if I perform the obligatory prayers, fast in Ramadan, treat as lawful that which is lawful and treat as forbidden that which is forbidden, and do nothing further, I shall enter paradise? He said yes. 3. I and the man who brings up an orphan will be in paradise like this. And he pointed with his 2 fingers, the index finger and the middle finger. 4. Every person's every joint must perform a charity every day the sun comes up. I and the man who brings up an orphan will be in paradise like this. And he pointed with his 2 fingers, the index finger and the middle finger. 4. Every person's every joint must perform a charity every day the sun comes up. To act justly between 2 people is a charity. To help a man with his mount, lifting him onto it or hoisting up his belongings onto it is a charity. A good word is a charity. Every step you take to prayers is a charity, and removing a harmful thing from the road is a charity. 2. A. From the teachings given in the set hadiths, write an account of the guidance given to Muslims in their everyday life. 10. B. In your opinion, how easy are the hadiths to act upon? Give reasons to support your answer. 4. ANS. A. Ahadith of the Prophet provide guidance to Muslims in various matters related to their everyday life. This helps them shape their conduct according to the genuine Islamic teachings. Hadith 3 links fundamental beliefs with the social conduct of Muslims. It commands, let him who believes in Allah and the last day either speak good or keep silent, and let him who believes in Allah and the last day be generous to his neighbor, and let him who believes in Allah and the last day be generous to his guest. It teaches Muslims to observe politeness and generosity towards their neighbors and guests. The repetition of let him who believes in Allah and the last day means that a Muslim's actions originate from a strong belief in fundamentals of Islam. Islam guides its followers to maintain peace, harmony, and goodwill in the community. It trains them to be a source of benefit for others by observing politeness, kindness, and generosity. Another hadith highlights the qualities of a true believer as a Muslim is one from whose tongue and hand other Muslims are safe. A Muslim who is cordial and decent will always try his best to avoid any misuse of his tongue. Likewise, he is likely to be generous towards his neighbors and hospitable towards his guests. According to Hadith 5, many ordinary acts may become a source of earning the reward of charity. The Prophet said, every person's every joint must perform a charity every day the sun comes up. To act justly between 2 people is a charity. To help a man with his mount, lifting him onto it or hoisting up his belongings onto it is a charity. A good word is a charity. Every step you take to prayers is a charity, and removing a harmful thing from the road is a charity. It gives a broader definition of charity by referring to many acts that do not involve spending money. They are related to utilizing the physical energies to help those in need. The Prophet promised reward of charity if Muslims make peace between fellow Muslims in a just way, help lift the luggage of a weak person, and speak kindly. Same reward is promised for Muslims who prefer to walk to the mosque for daily prayers or who remove any harmful thing from the road. This also means that the acts of worship are not restricted to salat and psalm, but they extend to being considerate towards others. It instructs them to acknowledge Allah's bounty of good health by using it for the welfare of others. Another hadith mentions the reward of helping others as the best among the people are those who are a source of comfort for others. Hadith 9 instructs Muslims to make their living by hard work and halal means. No one eats better food than that which he eats out of the work of his hand. It states the importance of earning by lawful means and hard work. The Prophet urged his followers to avoid beggary, dependence on others, and earn from all lawful means without considering any type of work as menial or undesirable. He also forbade any income from gambling, usury, and bribery, as they tend to entice people to avoid any laborious efforts. They also breed a culture of greed, dishonesty, and cheating, and thus shatter the social fabric of a Muslim community. Allah loves those who earn by honesty and dedication, as is supported by another hadith. One who works for himself is a friend of Allah. Hadith 19 refers to the worthlessness of worldly life as the world is the believer's prison and the unbeliever's paradise. It instructs Muslims that the worldly living for them is like a fixed span of imprisonment, where he has to follow the rules and regulations of Islam. He believes that by following the Islamic teachings he will get eternal bliss in paradise. Therefore, he does not develop a permanent association with this world. The non-believer or atheist, on the contrary, is trapped in the charms of his worldly life. Another hadith highlights the mindset of such a person as, the greater a person's involvement with the world, the greater shall be his regret at the time of leaving it. An atheist may get whatever he desires in this world, but will be deprived of all blessings in the hereafter. A true believer, on the other hand, may or may not get the desired comforts here, but his beliefs and practices will guarantee his eternal abode in paradise that has no comparison to this world. B. Hadith and Quran are intimately linked with each other. Muslims can fully understand the Quran mainly with the help of his ahadith. The Prophet explained the Quran by its qawli, sayings, and fa'ili, actions, ahadith. So, it's not only easy but also essential for Muslims to follow the ahadith. The Quran describes the Prophet as the most perfect model of human conduct. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. If you obey him, you shall be on the right guidance. 2400 hours 54, Al-Nur. He demonstrated pillars of Islam in good detail. Similarly, he taught us ethics and rules of conduct for all walks of life, such as starting every good chore of life or project by reciting Tasmiyah. Muslims express gratitude to Allah on every achievement, whether ordinary or extraordinary. Thus, it is really very easy to act upon the ahadith. 3a. Write an account of Uthman's administration and military achievements during his caliphate. 10. B. In your opinion, what was Uthman's greatest act as caliph? Give reasons to support your answer. 4. A. Hazrat Uthman improved upon the administrative system built by Caliph Umar. He began to tighten the central government's control over the affairs of the garrison cities/military districts. He continued Caliph Umar's policy of division of the empire by creating new provinces. The Majlis-i-Shura remained the main advisory council to make important decisions. He had to split up the authority of the provincial governors as the size of the empire increased. He also reformed the police department due to a tremendous increase in population. He introduced the tradition of inspecting the state accounts, salary rolls of the Diwan, and ensured the flow of surplus revenue from provincial governments to the central treasury in Medina. A new post of financial administrators was created who were responsible only for the caliph initiated several other public welfare schemes. River embankments were built to protect the houses in Medina, and a dam was constructed to divert the floodwaters from the Prophet's mosque. New wells were built, and the old ones were deepened to supply fresh water to his people. Several irrigation canals were built in Iraq, Persia, and Egypt that helped increase the agricultural yield. First international port was built at Jeddah in 647 AD. The compounds of the Sacred Mosque and the Prophet's Mosque were enlarged. Masjid-i-Quba was also renovated. Moreover, about 5,000 new mosques. The compounds of The sacred mosque and the Prophet's mosque were enlarged. Masjid-i-Quba was also renovated. Moreover, about 5,000 new mosques were also constructed in several cities. The Caliph changed the policy of Hazrat Umar and lifted the ban on the sale of lands and the purchase of agricultural lands in the conquered territories. He also allowed his governors to amass funds. Hazrat Uthman faced serious challenges soon after becoming the Caliph. He received reports of revolt in the conquered Persian and Roman territories. He successfully dealt with all the rebel forces. Firstly, he crushed the rebel forces in the Persian and Roman provinces. He sent Salman bin Rabia from Kufa with 6,000 troops to help Muawiyah in Syria. Then he sent Hazrat Amr bin al-As to crush a big rebellion in Alexandria in 645 AD. He also sent troops towards Armenia and Azerbaijan, where people had stopped paying taxes after the death of Hazrat Umar. After this, the Caliph turned towards expansion of the empire. The Muslim armies continued to move in all directions. In the east, from 650 to 651, they conquered the remaining parts of Persia/Iran that had been left by Caliph Umar. The Muslim armies then proceeded to the Makran coast and reconquered the coastal towns, including Gwadar, that had rebelled after the death of Caliph Umar. Leaving the remaining parts of India, they targeted Afghanistan and conquered important towns that included Ghazni/Ghazna, Herat, and Kabul. Using Afghanistan as the gateway, they occupied several Central Asian states. Such historic towns as Balkh, Samarkand, Khorasan, Merv, Tus, Siraks, Turkmenistan, Sajistan, and Khwarazm. The Persian Emperor Yazdegerd III was killed by one of his ordinary citizens, and this marked the end of the Sassanid rule over Persia. Similarly, Muslim armies defeated the Romans and conquered several new territories. In 647–48, they defeated the Romans in the Middle Eastern and North African states. They conquered the whole Egypt and proceeded to the neighboring states of Tripoli, Morocco, some parts of Algeria, Libya, and Tunisia. Muslim armies were led by such commanders as Amr bin al-As and Abdullah bin Sa'd bin Abi Sarah. First Muslim naval force was founded by Hazrat Uthman. This navy inflicted defeats on the Romans in the Mediterranean Sea. Muawiyah gave the command of a naval fleet to Abu Qays, who captured the islands of Cyprus, Rhodes, and Antakya in 649 AD. In 655 AD, Abdullah bin Sa'd bin Abi Sarah led a small Muslim naval force and defeated the Roman fleet of 500 vessels in the Battle of Alexandria. Muslims defeated the Romans after a terrible fight in the Battle of Alexandria. An expedition was also sent to Spain, and Al-Andalus was conquered. B. The greatest act of Caliph Uthman was introduction of a regular naval force that had not been done by the previous two caliphs. Muslim navy inflicted defeats on the Romans, who had been ruling the North African states and many islands in the Mediterranean region. Victories of Muslims in such historic battles as the Phoenix and Masts broke the strength of the mighty Roman Empire that was practically eliminated from the strategic Asian and African states. Conquest of Egypt made Muslims masters of the Suez Canal area, cutting off the trade route between the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. This innovative step of Caliph Uthman helped Muslims rule the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal, as well as many countries of southeastern Europe. 4a. Describe the events of one of the following battles. Battle of Qadisiyah. Battle of Yarmouk. 10b. In your opinion, did the Battle of Qadisiyah or the Battle of Yarmouk have more significance for Islam? Give reasons for your answer. 4. A. Battle of Qadisiyah. The Sassanid royal court was shaken by the Persian defeat in the Battle of Buaib. Emperor Yazdegerd III decided to avenge the defeat. A huge army of more than 60,000 was raised under the command of Rustam, the famous Persian commander and wrestler. Caliph Umar gave charge to Hazrat Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, who led an army of 30,000, though he himself fell sick shortly after taking the command. He, however, managed a victory despite being on his bed of sickness. Muslim army camped at Qadisiyah, a small town on the west, Arab, bank of the river Atik, a branch of the river Euphrates, about 30 miles east of Hira. July-September, 636 negotiations were held. Hazrat Saad sent a delegation under al-Nauman bin Muqarrin to the emperor for peaceful conversion to Islam or payment of jizya by acknowledging Muslim rule peacefully or be ready for the war. The emperor rejected the first two options. A number of skirmishes took place in which Muslims were victorious. The Persians suffered setbacks as many of their troops began to desert their army. Seeing this, Rustam blocked a channel and crossed the river to attack the Muslims. Finally, a full-scale battle began in November 636 by personal duels in which again Muslims dominated. Now Rustam mobilized his left wing against the right wing of Muslims. Then his war elephants advanced accompanied by the cavalry. Persian attack was fierce, but Muslims were fully ready. Thus was spent the first of the 3 days of the battle. There was no decision on the first day, and so it was called Yom al-Armath, Yom al-Agwath, Day of Succor. Bahman and many other Persian commanders were killed, but still the battle remained inconclusive. Third day of the battle is called Yom al-Amaz, Day of Distress, as it began with burying the dead of both sides. Persian elephants were pushed back, and they caused huge losses for them. Both armies fought the whole night that became known as Layla al-Harar, Night of Clangor. Battle was decided in favor of Muslims as they had killed about 2/3 of Persian army, though Muslims also lost 1/5 troops. Rustam was killed while trying to swim across the river. Hazrat Saad chased the fleeing army till Babel, where Persians got refuge. Victory at Qadisiyah opened the Persian capital Al-Madain to Muslims, which they captured after 2 months. Hazrat Saad founded 2 military districts, Kufa and Basra in Iraq. This victory decided the fate of Iraq in favor of Muslims. Battle of Yarmouk. Tea was fought against the Romans in August 636 AD on the bank of River Yarmouk, 65 kilometers southeast of the Golan Heights on the border between Syria and Jordan. Roman Emperor Heraclius was furious over the defeats in Fil/Fel and Hims/Emesa and the fall of Damascus. He quickly raised a huge army of about 260,000 and sent it against Muslims who were only around 30,000. Roman commander was Theodore and Muslims were led by Hazrat Khalid bin al-Walid. Both armies were divided into 4 sections, the left wing, the left center, the right center, and the right wing. Romans sent Gregory to negotiate peace with Muslims, and he tried to bribe Muslims, but was unsuccessful. Hazrat Khalid then met the Romans and offered the usual options: peaceful conversion to Islam or payment of jizya to accept Muslim rule or be ready to fight. All negotiations failed and battle started. Caliph Umar, in the meantime, sent an additional force of 6,000 troops from Yemen. Troops reached in groups to convey an impression to the Romans that Muslims were receiving several reinforcements. Hazrat Khalid launched a 3-pronged attack on Romans and was assisted by gifted commanders such as Hazrat Abu Ubaidah, Hazrat Ammar bin al-As, and Yazid bin Abu Sufyan. The battle was fought for 6 days and Muslims gradually outsmarted Romans, mainly due to Hazrat Khalid's war tactics. He would often pretend to withdraw and thus bring the enemy within the fold of his army. On the 6th day, the Roman cavalry was routed and began flee. 2/3 of the Roman army was killed, fled, or taken captive, whereas Muslims lost only 3,000 soldiers while several more were injured. 2. Victory in Yarmouk was decisive for Muslims as they had broken the power of Romans who shifted their capital to Constantinople, Turkey. This victory prepared the ground for peaceful capture by Muslims of Jerusalem. B. Victory in Yarmouk seems to be more significant for Islam. As a result of their defeat, the Romans fully realized the military power, war tactics, and firmness of the Arab Muslims. Muslims were always outnumbered by their rivals, but outsmarted them in all major battles. This invoked fear in their hearts about a newly emerging political and military power they had been underestimating before. Romans gradually began to withdraw from the main Middle Eastern states like Syria, Palestine, Jordan, Jerusalem, and, later, from North African territories. All these soon became Muslim-majority countries, mainly due to their kind treatment by their new rulers. 5. A. Write about the benefits of fasting and almsgiving, zakat. 10. B. What is the most important benefit to a Muslim of completing the annual pilgrimage, Hajj? Give reasons to support your answer. 4. ANS. A. The basic purpose of fasting is to learn self-restraint. As stated in the Quran, fasting has been prescribed to you as it was prescribed to those before you, so that you may learn self-restraint. 2:183 Al-Baqarah. Many halal/permissible acts like eating, drinking, and marital relations become haram/forbidden for 1 month. As a result, a fasting Muslim trains himself to stay away from all forbidden and undesirable acts not only during Ramadan, but in other months too. This exercise of self-control strengthens the moral character of the fasting Muslims. This is highlighted by a hadith, "Fast is a shield against sins." Moreover, a fasting Muslim tries to avail the additional blessings by offering extra nafil prayer, reciting the Quran, and giving zakat, as well as additional charity to those in need. The objective of doing such noble deeds is to earn Allah's pleasure and generosity as reward for good deeds increases manifold in this holy month. The Prophet promised the special reward for a fasting Muslim by saying, "There is a special entrance to paradise called Bab al-Rayyan. None will enter through this gate except those who fast." Fasting has many health benefits as it trains the Muslims to discipline their eating habits. The digestive system is given rest for several hours, resulting in detoxifying of the whole body and observed dieting. A fasting person realizes the sufferings of the poor, many of whom hardly eat full daily meal throughout the year. This feeling of compassion encourages fasting Muslims to be kind to the needy by helping them to live a normal life. This is one of the ways of being grateful to Allah and attaining peace of mind. This is guaranteed by the Quran. Those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah, they shall have no fear, nor shall they grieve. 2:266 Al-Baqarah. The ultimate purpose of the exercise of fasting is to revitalize faith, develop good habits, and renew the covenant with Allah. The spiritual purification of the individuals leads to the collective betterment of the entire community. The Messenger of Allah said, "Allah does not need the fast of one who does not abandon false speech or acting according to his false speech." Thus, Ramadan acts as a spiritual cleanser not only for the individual believer, but the entire community. Zakat is one of the 5 foundational pillars of Islam, and by giving zakat, a Muslim fulfills an important religious obligation. This makes him more obedient servant of Allah. The word zakat literally means to purify. So, it is a means of purifying an individual's wealth, making it desirable in the sight of Allah. By paying zakat, a believer's heart is also purified as it eliminates greed and the desire of accumulating wealth. By giving zakat, the rich Muslims express their sympathy and love for the poor fellows as well as love for Allah. They also develop a strong hope of greater rewards by Allah. Such a hope motivates the rich Muslims to be caring towards the poor. The Quran promises the cyclic pattern of such virtues as, "Whatever of good you give, spend, benefits your own souls. Whatever good you give shall be rendered back to you, and you shall not be dealt with unjustly." 2:272 Al-Baqarah. Zakat is also an effective means of curbing greed and promoting the spirit of sacrifice. Greed for accumulating wealth without spending it in the way of Allah has been condemned by the Quran. Woe to every scandalmongerer and backbiter, who piles up wealth and lays it by, thinking his wealth would make him last forever. Surah 104, Al-Humazah. Zakat, therefore, is an effective source of developing the fear of Allah. There are several communal benefits of zakat. It stimulates economic activity in the community as wealth is circulated from the rich to the poor. Such a circulation builds a healthy community dominated by Allah, fearing and philanthropic people. Needs of the poor are satisfied, and they not only pray for the rich Muslims, but also get encouraged to work hard instead of getting tempted towards crimes and antisocial tendencies. Zakat also induces feelings of fraternity and love among the members of the Muslim community. Such feelings surely strengthen the community as people adopt an attitude of helping those in need. Zakat, as an institute, is aimed at uprooting beggary from society because gradually the needy and the beggars are enabled to earn on their own after receiving their due share from the wealth of rich Muslims. B. The most important benefit of Hajj for Muslims is that it prepares them to struggle in the way of Allah after their return to their homeland. All rituals of Hajj involve physical exertion. Hajj has its spiritual dimensions, too. For the same reason, the Quran declares it obligatory for only physically and financially fit Muslims. Pilgrimage to the house is a duty for those who can afford the journey. 3 hours 97 minutes, Al-Imran, performing tawaf and sa'i and standing observing the waqf in Arafat require a lot of physical strength. The only motive behind these is to spend one's energy for Allah who enabled the pilgrim to perform these acts of worship. Pilgrims are thus trained to devote their power to any noble cause or mission after completing the Hajj. They can perform physical jihad against any injustice or tyranny or indecency in their surroundings. They get ready to sacrifice their lives by performing the armed jihad whenever needed.